Hello fellow coffee botherers, in this video I'm going to be talking about this, the new Rocket Appartamento TCA. This was sent to me on loan from Pro Espresso and it will be going back to them after I've reviewed it. And this is a fuel edition, which doesn't mean you have to put petrol in it. Please don't do that. I'll explain what this means in a minute. So this is the latest version of the Appartamento, which was well known for its looks, and this, in my opinion, looks even cooler. But more importantly, they've improved things internally, which we'll get to in a sec. Firstly, just a bit of background on Rocket for anyone who's not familiar with the brand. Rocket is an Italian-made brand of espresso machines that was created in 2007 in partnership with the distributors of ECM home espresso machines in New Zealand and the son of the founder of ECM. It quickly became one of the well-known players in the home barista espresso machine market, and the Appartamento has been among their best-selling machines. But it's a competitive market, and I think the general consensus among many is that the Appartamento fell behind a bit in terms of performance and features versus newer options. I'm going to start off just talking about the main changes for anyone who's familiar with the Appartamento, and then I'll talk more generally about the machine for anyone who isn't. The first thing to mention is the design. The new design was done by Valerio Cametti and V12 Design, who designed for Ferrari, Lacimbali, Faima and loads of other iconic brands. One of the most striking changes for me with the design is the angular design of the E61, which I think gives it even more character than the original. A picture says 1,000 words, so I won't talk about it. Let's have a Springwatch-inspired mindfulness moment while we listen to the sounds of nature and ogle this very sexy espresso machine from various angles. We'll put the dimensions on the screen and it's almost the same as the original, just a couple of centimetres deeper. It has a PID, which is why they're calling it the TCA, Temperature Control Adjustment. So this not only means that you can adjust the temperature, it also means it's kept at the desired temperature via the PID, the temperature algorithm. The overpressure valve comes set to 9 bars, which is what we'd expect. The OPV is adjustable, as it is on the original, but most people will be happy to know they don't have to dig out their spanner and hope that the one spanner they can find is the right size. Or is that just me? They've insulated the boiler, which is something most people would really expect on more premium machines, and they've put it on a one-piece steel chassis, mainly to make it less susceptible to damage in transit. The heavy machine's 22 kilos, so the original with a two-piece chassis wouldn't take too well to have been dropped. On that note, another change is that they're all been delivered if you buy from the UK distributor Pro Espresso by a two-person team, what they call a white glove delivery. They're bench tested in the factory, so I think the idea is that if they ensure they don't get too much abuse in transit, there's more chance of them reaching the customer in the same condition they left the factory. You can tell them where to put the machine, they'll unbox it for you and take the packaging away too if you like, so you don't have to lift the machine at all. You won't need the packaging for returning the machine, as the warranty is to your home, not return to base. Pro Espresso have a team of engineers, and if you have a warranty issue, they'll send one out to you. The warranty is 2 years parts and 1 year's labour. Or you can rent it for £50 a month, and all service and maintenance is completely covered for as long as you rent it, and you automatically own it after 36 months. See the pinned comment for more on that. The portafilter is slightly different to the original. It's angled, so the basket is level when you rest it on the splitter. It comes with a single spout portafilter too, which are actually very handy for using smaller cups, even if, like me, you'd never contemplate making a single shot. The steam tip is slightly different from the original in terms of positioning of the holes, and I've not used the original, but I'm really impressed with the steam tip on the TCA. The steam is very powerful, but I think it's the most forgiving steam one that I've ever used with this level of power. So that's how it differs from the original. So now let's go through the specs. 58mm E61 Group, 1.8 litre insulated copper boiler with copper heat exchanger. Both are tea-coated, and no, I don't mean Earl Grey because that would be strange. This is an alloy coating which increases resistance to corrosion and oxidation. Vibration pump, rubber mounted to reduce noise. PID, temperature control adjustment, hence the name. Adjustable OPV, which comes set to 9 bars. 2.5 litre water tank with low water detection. Cool Touch Pro Steam Wand with the new steam tip, 2-hole tip by the way. Dedicated water spout, eco mode meaning 30 minutes auto off which you can disable, big drip tray over 500ml capacity. Other than the B-roll shots of me making coffees with it, I'm not covering workflow in this video as it would end up being too long. We'll do that in the next video. Now let's answer the most obvious questions, and if you're familiar with the original Appartamento or Espresso machines in general, you might want to use the chapters to skip through this, or I'm maybe teaching you to suck eggs. What's a heat exchanger? Heat exchanger machines have one steam boiler with a pipe running through it to heat the brew water. So it means the espresso has been made using fresh water from the tank, and it means you can steam milk and pull shots at the same time as you can with a dual boiler. What's an E61 group? This is. They're brass groups with hot water constantly passing through them via a thermosiphon, and they're operated via a lever rather than a shot button. They're known for temperature stability and reliability, and they're easy to mod for flow control. What's a heat up time? With E61 machines, it's normal to let them heat up for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, although the manual for the Appartamento TCA recommends 15 to 18 minutes. I'd say more like 25 minutes. So it's common for people using machines like this to use a smart plug and leave the toggle switch on so it's ready when you want your first coffee, and a lot of people will just leave them on until the last coffee of the day. There's a debate to be had about leaving a machine on all day versus heating it up when you want your next coffee, but it does depend on the machine and how many coffees you make per day. In some cases, letting a machine cool down and then letting it heat up again versus leaving it on can actually use more energy. There is a 30-minute auto off, as I've said, but you can disable it very easily. What's the espresso like? To be fair, with any machine of this kind of grade, as long as you're pairing it with a capable grinder, decent coffee beans, and at least relatively competent barista skills, you should be able to get great espresso. Especially if the machine has a PID and you don't have to learn your way around the quirks of the machine. Nice. So it depends on the beans you're using, the grinder and your home barista skills, but I have to say I was dialed in and making mega tasting espresso with this paired with a Faustino with Seaworks chocolate brownie blend after 3 attempts, with no idea what the starting point was on the Faustino. What's the steam power like? Awesome. Let's time steaming 170ml of milk to 60 degrees Celsius. As I've mentioned though, as well as being powerful, it's forgiving too, which is very handy if you're just learning to texture milk. What's a hot water temperature like? Let's find out. It's worth pointing out here too, for anyone not familiar with machines like this, that the hot water from the boiler is almost instant. How simple is it to use? Very simple. Machines like this may look a bit intimidating, but the lack of electronics actually makes it really simple to use. If you're not bothering with pre-infusion, you just lift the lever all the way up and push it back down to stop. If you're going for pre-infusion, you just lift it up to about 45 degrees, like this, to allow hot water to enter the group gently via the steam pressure, and then lift the lever all the way up to engage the pump. How loud is it? Let's find out. Pull-in shots. Steaming. What grinder should you pair it with? There's masses of choice these days for capable espresso grinders. Any of the 55ml Eureka Mignon grinders would pair well. Mignon Specialita and Libra. Baratza Sette 270, 270 Wii, Forte. If you're thinking of single dosing, DF64 or the new DF54 that should be available in a month or two. DF63, Niche Zero or Duo. I have to say, I'm very impressed so far with the Rocket Faustino, and I wasn't really expecting to be. I'd read some not so great reviews which felt like they were talking about another grinder, and it turns out they were. The latest version of the Faustino, which is made by Macap, is quite a bit different from the earlier version, which did have a few issues. It's a 50ml flat burr grinder and it's about £500, so if you're focusing purely on value for money, there are more obvious options, but I wouldn't rule it out. I'm really impressed by it. It pairs really well with the TCA, it's really solid, it has stepless adjustment via a nice chunky dial that's really easy to adjust and to know exactly where you've adjusted to. It's quiet, it's fast, and it produces static-free and relatively clump-free grinds. The exchange retention is relatively low, a couple of grams, and it has 3 programmable dose options and a constant mode. Who's this machine made for? I actually think a lot of people would enjoy this machine, from beginners all the way through to more seasoned home baristas. It's an E61 Group machine with a PID, so the temperature should be really stable for consistently good espresso. It's a solid machine, it's clearly very well built. I reckon if this is looked after, it'll last 10 years plus. You can steam and pull shots simultaneously, and it has mega steam power. So it'll make fast coffees, and it'll cope fine if you're entertaining or using it in a small office, for example. All I'd say is that although it does have temperature control, it doesn't have the kind of control you might want if you're wanting to experiment with all roast types. If this is you, you'll probably want to look at a dual boiler to get that kind of brew temp adjustment. Negatives. There's not really much that I've been able to find. The only thing I would say is I feel like they should have focused a bit more on brew temperature, given that this is called the TCA, Temperature Control Adjustment. The manual only talks about pressure, it doesn't even give any temperature info, and okay, most of us don't bother reading the manual anyway, but I just expect temperature info from the manufacturer. Of course, adjusting the temperature adjusts the pressure too, but I think most people would expect to know what temperature each setting relates to. We know that thanks to Mark at Whole Latte Love, and I'll link to his video below, that the low setting is 91 degrees Celsius, medium is 93, high is 95, and very high is 98 Celsius. I think if you're using more standard espresso profiles, you'll probably find one of the middle brew temperatures to be best. And anyone who's wanting to use lots of widely differing roast profiles, I think would want closer increments than this. So as I've mentioned, if that's you, you'll probably be looking at a dual boiler machine. The final question is, can you afford this? And the answer is, if you're in the UK, yes, you can. And this is where this badge comes in. Rocket are on board with a very clever plan called Fuel Club, or Rocket Fuel, which is a way for you to try before you buy. Give them 50 quid or 69 quid if you want the setup with the Faustino per month for a minimum term of 3 months to rent the machine. If you don't like it, they'll collect it, that's that. If you do like it, keep paying £50 a month or £69 a month with the grinder. It's fully serviced, so you never need to worry about it breaking or developing a problem. If it does, they'll send an engineer to fix or replace. As it's a rental agreement, it's quick and easy to set up. There isn't the kind of red tape that there would be with a finance agreement. But you own it after the 36th payment, or you can buy it out early with no penalty. For more, see my review on Fuel Club at coffeeblog.co.uk/FC or see the pinned comment. Coffee Cab's comment of the week!
Turbotastic says, "What a f***ing video. Thanks for wasting 3 minutes of my life."
You're welcome.
I'm a handsome man.
Thank you very much for watching, and if you think coffee is well good and you've enjoyed this video, we've got tons of content about how to make better coffee at home to take you from beginner to home barista. We've got reviews and how-tos on the most popular machines. If you like the sound of that, click on my face to subscribe. Tatty Bye!